Master Your Emotions by Thibaut Meurisse. Book summary published by Book Bites. Imagine waking up every morning with complete control over your emotions, no longer being reactive to stress, frustration, or the negativity that life throws at you. Instead, you feel calm, centered, and capable of handling whatever comes your way. Sound impossible? What if I told you that you already possess the power to master your emotions, and that all you need is a better understanding of how your mind and emotions work? In today's video, we're going to explore Master Your Emotions by Thibaut Meurisse, a step-by-step guide that will show you exactly how to take charge of your emotions, improve your mindset, and live a more fulfilling, balanced life. If you've ever felt like your emotions are running the show, or if you've ever struggled to stay calm in the face of challenges, then this book will provide you with the tools to regain control. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll learn practical strategies that will help you manage your emotions effectively and create the emotional balance you've always wanted. Chapter 1. The Role of Emotions in Our Lives. Thibaut Meurisse opens the book by explaining the fundamental role emotions play in our lives. Emotions aren't just random reactions that happen to us. They serve as a form of feedback, a way for our inner selves to communicate with us. Emotions are a signal, providing valuable information about our current mental state, our thoughts, and how we're perceiving the world around us. At their core, emotions are neither good nor bad. They are neutral. We tend to label emotions like happiness or joy as good, and emotions like anger or sadness as bad. But these labels miss the true purpose of emotions. Instead of judging our emotions, Meurisse encourages us to see them as indicators, much like the dashboard warning lights in a car. If you're feeling anxious or stressed, it's an indication that your thoughts are likely focused on something that's triggering worry. Conversely, if you're feeling content and peaceful, it's because your thoughts are aligned with positive or fulfilling experiences. Let's take a closer look at this. Think about the last time you felt frustrated. Maybe it was because of a work situation, or perhaps someone said something that rubbed you the wrong way. While the situation itself may have caused frustration, the root cause was likely deeper, perhaps tied to unmet expectations, unspoken needs, or an internal belief that wasn't being honored. Your emotions are signaling that something within your thought process or belief system needs to be addressed. Expanding the practical application. The next time you feel a strong emotion, instead of immediately reacting, pause and observe it. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me about my current thoughts, expectations, or beliefs? Journaling can be a powerful tool for decoding your emotions. When you feel a strong emotion, try writing down the thoughts that preceded the emotion. This will help you identify the thought patterns that are driving your emotional responses. Remember that emotions are temporary. By observing them without judgment, you allow them to pass through without becoming trapped in negative emotional cycles. By treating your emotions as feedback rather than as things to be avoided, you start to gain more control over them. This shift in perspective is critical for emotional mastery. When you stop labeling emotions as bad or good and instead view them as useful information, you take the first step toward mastering them. Chapter 2. The Thought-Emotion Connection. The second chapter takes us deeper into the core of emotional mastery, the relationship between thoughts and emotions. According to Meurisse, all emotions are triggered by thoughts. Whether we're conscious of it or not, every emotion we feel is the direct result of a thought or belief we're holding on to. This idea can be both empowering and daunting. On the one hand, it means that we have a lot more control over our emotions than we might realize. On the other hand, it also means that we are responsible for the thoughts we entertain and thus for the emotions that follow. Meurisse introduces the concept of emotional spirals, both upward and downward spirals. Emotional spirals are patterns of thought and emotion that reinforce each other, either positively or negatively. For example, let's say you're worried about an upcoming presentation at work. You start thinking, what if I mess up? What if I forget what I'm supposed to say? These thoughts generate anxiety, which in turn leads to more anxious thoughts. And before you know it, you're in a downward emotional spiral. The key to breaking out of a negative emotional spiral is becoming aware of your thoughts. When you realize that a negative emotion is being fueled by a specific thought, you can challenge and change that thought. This is where the real power of emotional mastery lies, the ability to shift your focus and reframe your thoughts in a way that generates more positive emotions. Conversely, Meurisse explains that positive emotional spirals work the same way. When you focus on positive thoughts, like gratitude, love, or joy, those thoughts create positive emotions. Those emotions in turn lead to more positive thoughts, creating an upward spiral that can lift your mood and improve your emotional state. Expanding the practical application. Begin by keeping track of your thoughts, especially when you experience a strong emotional reaction. Consider using a thought log where you write down the thoughts that trigger your emotions. This practice will help you become more aware of your mental patterns. The next time you find yourself in a negative emotional spiral, pause and challenge the thoughts driving your emotions. Ask yourself, is this thought true? What's another way to view this situation? Practice cultivating upward emotional spirals by focusing on positive thoughts intentionally. For example, if you're feeling stressed, take a moment to list 3 things you're grateful for. Notice how this small shift can begin to create more positive emotions. The concept of emotional spirals is crucial because it reminds us that emotions don't just happen. They are the result of thoughts, and by changing your thoughts, you can change your emotions. This chapter helps to drive home the point that mastering your emotions starts with mastering your mind. Chapter 3, Understanding Emotional Triggers. In Chapter 3, Meurisse tackles the topic of emotional triggers, those situations, people, or events that provoke strong emotional reactions. We all have them, moments when we lose our cool, feel overwhelmed with sadness, or become frustrated out of nowhere. But why do certain situations trigger intense emotions while others barely affect us? The answer lies in our underlying beliefs and past experiences. Emotional triggers are not random. They are deeply connected to our internal belief system. Meurisse explains that emotional reactions occur when something in our external environment clashes with our internal beliefs or expectations. For example, let's say you feel a surge of anger when someone cuts you off in traffic. While the action itself may seem trivial, the anger comes from a deeper belief, perhaps that people should be respectful or follow certain rules. These emotional reactions are essentially alarms, alerting us that one of our internal beliefs is being challenged. This can happen in small, everyday moments or in larger, more significant events. The key to mastering your emotions is becoming aware of your emotional triggers and understanding the beliefs that fuel them. Meurisse encourages us to identify our emotional triggers by paying attention to situations that consistently evoke strong emotional responses. By uncovering the beliefs behind these triggers, we can begin to challenge and reframe them. Over time, this reduces the intensity of our emotional reactions and helps us become less reactive in general. For example, if criticism is a major emotional trigger for you, it's worth exploring why that is. Is it because you have a belief that you need external validation to feel worthy? Or perhaps you believe that making a mistake means you're a failure. By digging deeper into the root cause of your emotional triggers, you can start to dismantle the limiting beliefs that are driving your reactions. Expanding the practical application. Create a list of common situations that trigger strong emotions for you. Next to each trigger, write down the underlying belief or expectation that might be fueling the emotional response. Once you've identified a belief, ask yourself, is this belief true? Does it serve me or is it limiting me? Challenge the belief by considering alternative perspectives. Practice mindfulness during emotionally triggering situations. When you feel an emotional reaction coming on, pause and ask yourself, what belief is being triggered here? By understanding your emotional triggers and the beliefs that drive them, you gain insight into the deeper workings of your mind. This self-awareness is crucial for emotional mastery because it allows you to intervene before a trigger leads to an emotional reaction. Chapter 4. Breaking free from negative emotions. Negative emotions are a natural part of life, but when they become overwhelming or persistent, they can wreak havoc on our mental and emotional well-being. In this chapter, Meurisse offers practical strategies for breaking free from the grip of negative emotions. One of the most important insights from this chapter is that negative emotions often persist because we resist them. When we feel sadness, anger, or frustration, our natural response is to push those feelings away or suppress them. However, this resistance only strengthens the negative emotion. The more you try to fight or ignore a feeling, the more power you give it. Meurisse introduces the concept of emotional acceptance, which involves fully allowing yourself to feel and experience your emotions without judgment. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, you simply acknowledge them as they are. This act of acceptance often leads to a sense of relief, as it removes the inner tension created by resistance. Another key technique in this chapter is detachment. Detachment is the ability to observe your emotions without becoming identified with them. Think of your emotions as clouds passing through the sky of your mind. They are temporary and ever-changing, but they are not who you are. When you detach from your emotions, you can observe them without getting caught up in them. For example, if you're feeling anxious, instead of thinking, "I am anxious," you might say, "I am experiencing anxiety." This subtle shift in language creates a sense of distance between you and the emotion, making it easier to manage. Detachment allows you to remain calm and centered, even in the midst of strong emotions. Expanding the practical application. Practice emotional acceptance by allowing yourself to fully experience whatever emotion arises. Instead of pushing it away, sit with the feeling and observe it without trying to change it. Notice how your resistance lessens as you allow the emotion to be present. Try using the language of detachment. When you experience a strong emotion, say, "I am experiencing emotion," instead of "I am emotion." This simple change helps create distance between you and the emotion. Use mindfulness to observe your emotions like passing clouds. Remind yourself that emotions are temporary. They will come and go, but they do not define you. Meurisse also emphasizes the importance of emotional release. Sometimes negative emotions linger because we haven't fully processed them. If you've ever held on to anger, frustration, or sadness for days or weeks, it's likely because you didn't allow yourself to fully release those feelings. Meurisse suggests finding healthy outlets for emotional release, such as journaling, talking to a trusted friend, or engaging in physical activities like exercise. When you express your emotions in a healthy way, you prevent them from building up and causing long-term emotional distress. Expanding the practical application. Set aside time each day for emotional release. This could be through journaling, where you write about your feelings, or through a physical activity like running or dancing that allows you to release pent-up emotions. If you're feeling stuck in a negative emotion, try talking to a trusted friend or therapist who can offer support and perspective. Verbalizing your feelings can be a powerful way to release emotional tension. Engage in creative expressions as a form of emotional release. Painting, drawing, playing music, or writing poetry can help you process and let go of difficult emotions in a healthy, constructive way. Breaking free from negative emotions isn't about suppressing or avoiding them. It's about accepting them, understanding their source, and finding healthy ways to release them. By following the techniques in this chapter, you can free yourself from the weight of negative emotions and create space for more positive feelings to emerge. Chapter 5. Reframing your perspective. At this point in the book, Meurisse introduces one of the most powerful tools for emotional mastery: reframing. Reframing is the process of changing the way you perceive a situation in order to change how you feel about it. Essentially, it's about looking at a problem or challenge from a different angle to uncover a more empowering perspective. The central idea behind reframing is that our emotions are not caused by the events themselves, but by the meaning we attach to those events. Two people can experience the exact same situation, but have completely different emotional responses based on how they interpret it. Let's say you didn't get a promotion at work. One person might interpret this as a personal failure, leading to feelings of inadequacy and disappointment. Another person might see it as an opportunity to improve their skills, resulting in feelings of motivation and determination. The event is the same, but the emotional experience is vastly different because of the way each person framed the situation. Meurisse explains that by changing the way you interpret events, you can change the emotions you experience. This doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. Instead, it's about finding the most constructive and empowering way to view a situation so that you can move forward with a positive emotional state. For example, if you face rejection or failure, you could reframe it as a valuable learning experience rather than a setback. Instead of thinking, "I failed," you might think, "I learned something valuable that will help me succeed next time." This shift in perspective transforms the emotional experience from one of defeat to one of growth. Expanding the practical application. Whenever you're faced with a difficult situation, ask yourself, how can I reframe this? What's another way to look at this situation that could be more empowering? Practice reframing in your everyday life, even with small annoyances. For example, if you get stuck in traffic, instead of getting frustrated, reframe it as an opportunity to listen to a podcast or enjoy some quiet time. Use reframing in moments of failure or rejection. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to grow stronger? Reframing is a skill that gets easier with practice. The more you use it, the more you'll find yourself naturally looking for the positive or constructive side of every situation. This habit of reframing can have a profound impact on your emotional well-being, as it allows you to maintain a positive mindset even in the face of challenges. Chapter 6. The Power of Gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions you can cultivate, and in this chapter, Meurisse explains why. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have, creating an immediate emotional boost. When you're in a state of gratitude, it's nearly impossible to feel negative emotions like anger, jealousy, or fear. Meurisse highlights that gratitude isn't just a feel-good practice. It has real, measurable effects on your emotional and mental health. Research has shown that people who regularly practice gratitude experience higher levels of happiness, better relationships, and lower levels of stress and depression. One of the most effective ways to practice gratitude is through a gratitude journal. Meurisse suggests writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day. This simple exercise helps train your brain to focus on the positive aspects of your life, rather than dwelling on the negatives. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to become more naturally optimistic and appreciative. The beauty of gratitude is that it doesn't require any special circumstances. You don't have to wait for something extraordinary to happen in order to feel grateful. In fact, Meurisse encourages us to find gratitude in the small, everyday moments of life. It could be something as simple as the warmth of the sun, a kind word from a friend, or a delicious meal. By appreciating the little things, you create a constant source of positive emotions. Expanding the practical application. Start a gratitude journal where you write down 3 things you're grateful for every day. Try to focus on both the big things, like family or career success, and the small things, like a good cup of coffee or a moment of laughter. Throughout the day, make a conscious effort to notice and appreciate the little moments of joy. Whether it's a beautiful sunset or a friendly conversation, take a moment to feel gratitude for the experience. Practice gratitude in challenging situations by asking yourself, what's one thing I can be grateful for right now, even in the midst of this challenge? Gratitude is a powerful antidote to negative emotions because it shifts your focus away from what's wrong and toward what's right. By making gratitude a daily habit, you create a positive emotional foundation that can carry you through even the most difficult times. Chapter 7. Letting go of the past. Many of us carry emotional baggage from the past, whether it's unresolved anger, regret, or sadness. This chapter focuses on the importance of letting go of the past in order to create emotional freedom in the present. Meurisse explains that holding on to past hurts or negative experiences keeps us trapped in negative emotional patterns. When we cling to the past, we're essentially reliving those painful experiences over and over again, which prevents us from fully enjoying the present or moving forward. One of the most powerful tools for letting go is forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning someone's actions or forgetting what happened. Instead, it's about releasing the emotional hold that a past event has on you. When you forgive, You free yourself from the resentment, anger, or sadness that may be weighing you down. Letting go of the past also involves accepting that you cannot change what has already happened. Meurisse emphasizes that the only thing you have control over is how you respond to the present moment. By accepting the past for what it is, you can begin to focus on what you can create in the future. This chapter is also about letting go of self-judgment. Many of us are hard on ourselves for mistakes or decisions we made in the past. Meurisse encourages us to practice self-compassion and to forgive ourselves for any perceived failures or shortcomings. By letting go of self-criticism, you allow yourself the emotional space to grow and move forward. Expanding the practical application. Reflect on any past experiences or relationships that you're still holding on to emotionally. Ask yourself, is holding on to this helping me or hurting me? Practice forgiveness, not for the sake of others, but for your own emotional freedom. Write a letter, even if you don't send it, to someone you need to forgive, expressing your feelings and your intention to release the emotional burden. Let go of self-judgment by reminding yourself that everyone makes mistakes. Forgive yourself for past decisions or actions and focus on how you can grow from the experience. Letting go of the past is not about forgetting or minimizing what happened. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of past experiences so that you can fully embrace the present and create a more positive future. Chapter 8. Shifting your focus. Where your focus goes, your emotions follow. In this chapter, Meurisse explains that one of the most effective ways to manage your emotions is to consciously direct your focus. Often when we're feeling anxious, stressed, or unhappy, it's because we're focusing on the wrong things, problems, fears, or what we don't have. Meurisse introduces the concept of selective focus, which is the ability to choose what you pay attention to. Just as a camera lens can zoom in on a particular subject, you have the power to zoom in on the aspects of your life that bring you joy, satisfaction, and peace. The challenge is training your mind to focus on these positive aspects, even when life gets tough. He offers practical techniques for shifting your focus, such as mindfulness, visualization, and intentional thought direction. By practicing mindfulness, you become more aware of where your attention is going, allowing you to catch yourself when you're focusing on negative or unproductive thoughts. Visualization is another powerful tool. Meurisse suggests visualizing your ideal emotional state, whether it's calm, joy, or confidence. By vividly imagining yourself in that state, you create a mental blueprint for your emotions to follow. This helps you align your focus with the emotional experience you want to cultivate. Expanding the practical application. Practice mindfulness by regularly checking in with your thoughts. Where is your focus going? Are you dwelling on negative or positive thoughts? When you notice yourself focusing on the negative, consciously shift your attention to something positive or productive. Use visualization to mentally rehearse your ideal emotional state. Imagine yourself feeling calm, joyful, or confident, and notice how it shifts your mood. By learning to direct your focus, you gain control over your emotional state. This skill can help you stay calm and centered in the midst of challenges and create a more positive emotional experience in your everyday life. Chapter 9. Cultivating Emotional Resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and emotional resilience is the key to navigating these fluctuations without becoming overwhelmed. In this chapter, Meurisse explains that emotional resilience is not about avoiding difficult emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about developing the inner strength to handle challenges with grace and composure. Meurisse emphasizes that resilience is a skill that can be developed over time. One of the core components of resilience is self-compassion. When you're going through a tough time, it's easy to be hard on yourself or feel like you should be handling things better. However, self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend in need. Another important aspect of resilience is having a growth mindset. People who view challenges as opportunities for growth tend to bounce back from adversity more quickly than those who see difficulties as insurmountable obstacles. Meurisse encourages us to adopt a mindset of curiosity and learning, especially when faced with setbacks. Resilience also involves building a strong support system. Having people in your life who can offer guidance, encouragement, and perspective during tough times can make a significant difference in how you handle emotional challenges. Expanding the practical application. Practice self-compassion by treating yourself with kindness when you're going through a tough time. Avoid self-criticism and instead, offer yourself words of encouragement. Cultivate a growth mindset by viewing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, rather than as obstacles to your success. Build a support system of friends, family, or mentors who can offer you emotional support during difficult times. Emotional resilience is about developing the inner strength and mindset to navigate life's challenges without being overwhelmed. By practicing self-compassion, cultivating a growth mindset, and seeking support when needed, you can build the resilience necessary to maintain emotional balance in even the most difficult times. Chapter 10. Designing your emotional environment. Your external environment plays a crucial role in your emotional well-being. In this final chapter, Meurisse explains how your surroundings, both physical and social, affect your emotions. Just as you can design your home to be more comfortable or functional, you can design your environment to support your emotional health. Meurisse emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with positivity. This includes not only the people you interact with, but also the content you consume. Negative influences, whether it's toxic relationships, news overload, or constant exposure to social media comparison, can drain your emotional energy. He encourages us to create an environment that nurtures positive emotions. This might involve decluttering your physical space, spending time in nature, or limiting your exposure to negative media. The goal is to create a space that fosters calm, joy, and inspiration, rather than stress or negativity. In addition to your physical environment, your social environment is just as important. Meurisse advises surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you, rather than those who bring negativity into your life. Positive relationships are essential for emotional well-being, so it's important to nurture connections that encourage growth and happiness. Expanding the practical application. Take a look at your physical environment. Is it cluttered or stressful? Consider making changes to create a space that feels peaceful and uplifting. Evaluate your social environment. Are there relationships that drain your emotional energy? Focus on cultivating connections that support your emotional well-being. Limit your exposure to negative media or social media that triggers comparison or anxiety. Instead, seek out content that inspires and uplifts you. Designing an environment that supports your emotional health is about creating a space, both physically and socially, that nurtures positivity, growth, and well-being. By making intentional choices about who and what you surround yourself with, you create an emotional environment that allows you to thrive. Conclusion: mastering your emotions is within your reach. Master Your Emotions by Thibaut Meurisse provides a comprehensive guide to understanding and taking control of your emotional world. Throughout the book, we learn that emotions are not something that happens to us. They are created by our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. By becoming more aware of these internal processes, we gain the power to shape our emotional experiences and create a more positive, fulfilling life. The key to mastering your emotions lies in practicing self-awareness, shifting your perspective, and cultivating emotional resilience. By applying the practical strategies outlined in this book, such as reframing, gratitude, emotional acceptance, and mindfulness, you can transform the way you feel and respond to life's challenges. Remember, mastering your emotions doesn't mean never feeling negative emotions again. It means developing the tools and mindset to handle them with grace and composure, allowing you to live a life that is more aligned with your values and desires. Thank you for watching, and if you found this summary helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Here's to mastering your emotions and living your best life.